His Grace Satchitananda Prabhu to be given a special class on Damodar Lila, and our temple president Atmaram Prabhu will introduce him. Before then, I just want to thank you again, all the enthusiastic participants of our 12 hours Kirtan, and all the other temple devotees who are attending today's class. Special thanks for them too. And as you all know that we have dedicated our today's 12-hour Kirtan for the victims and the deceased families of Bangladesh incident, which happened recently. Those devotees lost their life. We prayed for their departed soul, as well as our two beloved regular congregation devotee has lost their loved ones. His Grace Shapon Prabhu lost his father last week, and Nitin Joshi Prabhu, day before yesterday, he lost his grandfather. They humbly requested us to keep this, this deceased family to be in our prayer, so that the departed soul get the salvation and the family get peace and harmony in their life. So now I request Atmaram Prabhuji, our temple president, to introduce our special guest today, His Grace Satchitananda Prabhu. He's from Niagara Iskcon. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Atmaram Prabhu, what to you, please?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's very loud and nice.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So on behalf of Iskcon Calgary Prabhu, we welcome you for the very nice katha you're gonna give. And I know you were here a few months ago, and everybody enjoyed your katha, Prabhu. And we are looking forward for your katha for today and also for next week. So thank you, Prabhu, for taking your time and coming forward for such a nice preaching event for us. On behalf of Iskcon Calgary, we welcome you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Atmaram Prabhu Maharaj. Thank you very much. And just for all the devotees' information, next Saturday, His Grace Satchitananda Prabhu will repeat his second part of Damodar Lila. Today is part 1, and Damodar Lila, Prabhu give lots of classes on Damodar Lila for months, even sometime. Even last week he was giving class in Mexico. If some new devotee, those who doesn't know much about Prabhu, but I just give a brief introduction. Prabhu is the senior most devotee, initiated devotee of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, and he has been serving Iskcon for last 30 years, and he is very intensely involved with preaching all over the world almost. And now we are fortunate that Prabhu has given us 2 days special class on Damodar Lila. Let's listen from Prabhu and welcome him cordially today's evening. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhan Pranam. Thank you for your time. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Vanchakalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च आराध्यो भगवान् व्रजेशतनयस्तद्धाम वृन्दावनं रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधूवर्गेण तया कल्पिता। श्रीमद्भागवत पुराणमलं प्रेम पुमार्थो महान् श्रीचैतन्य महाप्रभोर्मतैदं नायत्र आग्रह परः। आजानुलम्बितो भुजौ कनकायवधातो संकीर्तनै पितरवो कोमलायताक्षो विश्वम्भरो द्विजवरो युगधर्मपालो वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरो करुणा अवतारो। दामोदरष्टकं नाम स्तोत्रम् दामोदर अर्चनं नित्यं दामोदर आकर्षित पठेत सत्य वरोदितम् नवनीरदनिन्दित कान्तिधरं रससागर नागर भूपवरं शुभवङ्किमचारु शिखण्ड शिखिं भज कृष्णानिधिं व्रजराजसुतं। राधिका सरोदइन्दो निन्दिमुखा मण्डलीं वन्द्ये श्रीपादपद्मं वृषभानन्दिनी वन्द्ये श्रीपादपद्मं वृषभानुनन्दिनी वन्द्ये श्रीपादपद्मं वृषभानुनन्दिनी। नमामीश्वर सच्चिदानन्द रूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानं यशोदाभियुलोकधवमानं परमष्टमत्यन्त ततो धृत्य गोप्या यन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रं युगममृजन्तं कराम्भोज युगमेन सातङ्कनेत्रम्. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya Acharya Guru Varg and the disciples of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, all the sincere followers of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, and to the especially to the Iskcon Calgary congregation. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm very happy to serve by speaking a little bit about the Damodar Lila, also known as the Dambandhan Lila. And I'm seeking the blessings of all the devotees, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, the Rasik Acharyas, that whatever emanates from my mouth would be pleasing to Srila Prabhupada, pleasing to the Acharyas, pleasing to Sri Sri Radha Damodar, and of course, Radha Madhav. So, I just sang the first verse of the Damodar Ashtakam. Namami Ishwaram Satchitananda Rupam Lashata Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashoda Biyu Lakhalad Dhavamanam Param Ashtam Atyanto Tato Dhrutta Gopya. So this particular composition was composed by a very great devotee by the name Satyavrat Muni. Most of us, we all know that. And in every Kartik Mas, Damodar Mas, also known as Urjeshwari Mas, Srimati Radharani is Urjeshwari. Urja means lots of splendor, lots of effulgence, lots of spiritual Shakti. And there's nobody as unlimited and with the zenith of bhakti as much as Srimati Radharani. And that is why Nandanandan Krishna, Yashoda Nandan himself desired the mood of Srimati Radharani, and he descended in this world as Gauranga Mahaprabhu so that he could glorify Srimati Radharani's prema for him. He could taste his own sweetness. And what is it that Sri Radha feels when she is in association of Krishna or even in separation of Krishna? The kind of love, what she feels, he wanted to taste that. These were the internal reasons why Krishna appeared as Mahaprabhu. And of course, the external reason is that he appeared to preach along with his associates the Sankirtan. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pango Parshadam Yagyai Prayer Sankirtana Yagyai Sumedhi. So those who are very intelligent will take to this Sankirtan movement where Krishna himself, who is a Krishna, who is non-blackish, he comes as Mahaprabhu along with his associates. In Srimad Bhagavatam, this verse is mentioned. So actually this month is known as Damodar month indeed, but it is also known as the Urjeshwari month. It is the most favorite month of Srimati Radharani because everybody is glorifying the wonderful sweet pastimes of Krishna. And that is the reason when we sing the Damodar Ashtakam, when we remember this particular pastime of Damodar. Dam in Sanskrit means rope and Udar means the stomach. So when this particular pastime happened during this time of Diwali, by the way, wishing you all a happy Diwali. It is next Thursday, coming Thursday, and then happy Govardhan Puja or happy New Year in advance to all of the assembled devotees and to your families. May it bring a lot of auspiciousness, especially lots of bhakti. So, because Krishna was tied by a rope by his mother, the name is Damodar. But also, this Damodar Ashtakam, composed by Satyavrat Muni, has got a lot of in-depthness. It is impossible for me to even speak on this in 2 sessions, honestly speaking. And if the devotees like what they hear, then perhaps we can get a consensus, and Acharya Nidhi Prabhu and Atmaram Prabhu, if you're like, we can perhaps do a 3rd session. And that would be also like a fast course. It will be a fast track, honestly speaking, because I intend to speak by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and our Gaudiya Acharyas based on the commentaries of our Rasik Acharyas, Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and especially from the Hari Bhakti Vilas, which in the commentary of Sanatan Goswami in the section known as the Dig Darshani, where there's a special darshan that a special purports, just like Srila Prabhupada has given his Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavad purports in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and in every verse of the Bhagavad Gita, and every different all the different books that he has translated, he has given his Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavad purports. So similarly, Jiva Goswami has given his wonderful, actually it is known as the Damodar Lila in a book called Gopal Champu, that has been composed by Srila Jiva Goswami. And in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, that is written in conjunction with Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, Sanatan Goswami has given a very special section. It's all in Sanskrit and very, very deep. Normally, we would hear about the Damodar Katha in a regular Sunday feast or maybe at a home program. And we generally hear that Krishna was very naughty and Mother Yashoda wanted to punish him, and she tied him up and she was 2 fingers short. And then Krishna eventually got tied with the love of Mother Yashoda, and then it's prasadam time. So the Leela is as good as it gets in this short form. And but if we dive deep into this, why is it that this Damodar Ashtakam has attracted our Gaudiya Acharyas? This is a very, very important philosophical point that we all should understand as followers of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Iskcon is a branch of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he established the Gaudiya Math. And the Gaudiya Math, 64 months, and his Divine Krishna Prabhupada established just before he left 108 Iskcon centers all over the world. We are strong followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are followers of Rupa Goswami. Therefore, we are known as Rupanugas. And if we are Rupanugas, through the true sense, then we should understand who we are. Just like a sincere student knows that when he or she is admitted in a particular college for a particular subject, then he or she already knows that they are pursuing a particular line. For example, if somebody is going to become a doctor, then obviously that student is going to be very sincere and concentrate on the medical sciences. And little other subject matters would matter much. That would be mathematics or chemistry or commerce or any other subjects that are not related to medical science. They would not really matter much to them, besides just the general knowledge that they have acquired during their school days or their junior college days. But as the specialization happens, when they postgraduate and they go into the specialty, then we have to also understand this is a spiritual science. It is known as Vigyan. Vigyan, this word, most of the people from the Indian background or from the Vedic culture have heard this word. Vigyan is in Sanskrit, but it has more than one meaning. And the primary meaning of Vigyan means if you break it down, it means Vishesha Gyan Iti Vigyan. Vishesh means topmost knowledge, and Gyan means knowledge. But most of us, we say Vigyan in most of the vernacular languages, whether in India or Bangladesh or other Vedic cultures, we or Pakistan and many countries that speak those languages that originate from Sanskrit, they normally nowadays they use that as science as learned in the schools and colleges. But the science that we are talking about is the science of self-realization, like Srila Prabhupada is talking about, our acharyas are talking about. And there's a specialty, just like the science that the student that studies at the school level, at the undergraduate level, has got multi branches. We study in school physics, chemistry, biology, and as we grow into the undergrad school or college, we then further finalize, okay, I am interested in the sciences. So then we do not study geography or history or any other subjects. We concentrate on the sciences. And then when we go into a bachelor's degree, then we further refine the subject, like in sciences, whether you want to go into physics or you concentrate on biology or on chemistry. And then further down, if you want to do your master's or your doctorate, then even within chemistry or in biology or or a doctor would study further medical sciences that would further define into a deeper state, anatomy, etc. And then finally, when one becomes a full-fledged doctor, a general physician, even then after that, there is specialty. Where they go into the fellowship and then they study either cardiology, pulmonology, oncology, the study of cancer, the study of the heart, the study of the lungs, and so many other specialties, neurology, etc. So similarly, bhakti has got many branches, honestly speaking, and bhakti is performed in different bhavas or mellows or rasas. And our specialty as the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya special in the group as followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are actually strictly in the mood of service to Radha and Krishna in separation and in union. This is a very important point. Generally speaking, we don't discuss this, but because I'm going to dive deep into the Damodar Ashtakam, I would like to kind of set the stage before I actually go into the Ashtakam itself and into the Leela. So we are actually, and further, if we refine our eventual seva as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, as the followers of Mahaprabhu, as Krishna wanted and desired the glories of Radharani, the sweetness of Radharani, the taste of Radharani, and the service of Srimati Radha is the paramount. And that is what we are all going to eventually post-doctorate into if we follow the rules and regulations strictly, guidelines given by His Divine Grace Prabhupada and our acharyas. When we become we are good sadhana bhaktas or following rules and regulations, eventually we will enter into a completely different dimension. Doors will open up into the doctorate and post-doctorate of bhakti, where we sing this particular line every day in the Guru Puja. Chakshudan, Narottam Das Thakur has composed this. Chakshudan Adilo Jai, Janme Janme Prabhu Shai, Dibbagan, Hriday Prakashito. The Guru or the Acharya, like Srila Prabhupada, are just waiting for us to further graduate, postgraduate, and come to the level of understanding and come to the level of maturity where they can actually impart us Raganuga Bhakti. Raga Anuga Bhakti. Many people have heard these words. Raga means deep attachment to Sri Krishna. And deep attachment, there are many devotees who are attached to Krishna. But the kind of attachment here we are talking about in the postgraduate or the postdoctorate part is the attachment in the footsteps of the Vrajvasis. Very important. So that is the meaning of the deep word in the word raga. And anuga. Anuga means to follow in their footsteps. So even if we read the Updesh Amrita and very nicely the nectar of instruction, etc., we will find Srila Prabhupada has very nicely explained what Raganuga Bhakti is, which Rupa Goswami has actually composed and Srila Prabhupada has translated and given us purports. So eventually that is our goal. We stand far apart from many other Vaishnava communities, as a matter of fact. In general, the philosophy is the same, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we are Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishnir Nutya Das. We are the eternal servants of Krishna. Whether we are worshippers of the Supreme Lord, of any of his avatars, whether it is Lord Ramachandra or Vishnu avatars or the Narayana avatars or Narsingha avatar, and so many Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Ananta Rupam. There are so many different avatars of Sri Krishna, so many avatars. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Rupa. He is a Satchitananda Rupa. And Sarva Karana Karanam. Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana. He is the source of everything. He is Janmadi Yasya. Srimad Bhagavatam and the Vedanta Sutra start with these two words, Janmadi Yasya. Janam means creation. Adi means the sustenance, and especially when it concerns the material world, the annihilation. But when it comes to the spiritual world, it's the sustenance, the creation and the sustenance of the spiritual worlds, the creation of all the other avatars, and the dependency of all the avatars on the Supreme Personality of Goddess Sri Krishna, Nandanandan or Yashodanandan, and who resides in his eternal abode known as Golok Vrindavan. And in the Bhaumya, or in the material world, he resides eternally in Vrindavan, and in Bhaumya Vrindavan. So, or the earthly Vrindavan. So, our ultimate goal as persons who are in the branch of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's line of teachings, especially being in Iskcon, then we have to slowly understand our final goal. That is, first is known as the Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha means relationship. When we know a particular person, or when we hear about a particular person, then either we like that person or dislike that person, or maybe we are neutral. So that Sambandha is when we hear Hari Katha. When we hear about Sri Krishna, then we fall in, the ultimate goal is to fall in love with him. Just like, if I can give a mundane example, when let's say, for example, a young boy and a young girl are of marriageable age, then the parents in the Vedic culture, they try to find a suitable match. And when they try to find a suitable match, the first thing that they speak to their friends or family members, and then some of them make suggestions. You know what, I like, this boy is very good, and he has graduated from Harvard School in the United States, and he's very, very sweet, he's very, very good looking, and he also makes very good money. Economically, he's also very, very stable, and he's got very good qualities, as a person, very kind-hearted. So immediately when the person hears about this, the father or the mother or even the girl, then immediately, just by hearing about it, the desire to meet that person arises within their heart. Is it true or not? So, or vice versa. It could be a girl and a boy, and the boy's parents are trying to find a suitable match. And when they hear that, oh, the girl is very, 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 very respectful to the elders, and she's very soft-spoken, and she has got all the different qualities, and plus she's highly educated, etc. So then automatically, out of so many different people, when they hear about such qualities, then immediately they say, okay, why don't we all arrange a meeting? And then a meeting is arranged. So the Sambandha happens by hearing about a person's qualities. Rukmini Devi, the one of the later on to be one of the 16,108 queens of Dwarka, one of the chief queens of Dwarka. Earlier, before she got married, she had only heard the qualities of Sri Krishna, and then she wrote a letter to a Brahmana to be delivered to Dwarka, and said that my father is going to get me married, to a person that I do not like, but I really am in love with you, Krishna. Please come and get me. And Krishna came and kidnapped Krishna. So that is also an amazing thing. Krishna came and kidnapped Rukmini. And because she just heard about the qualities, she fell in love with Krishna. So similarly, when we hear Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavi Biriditam Kalma Shapam Shravana Mangalam Sri Madatatam Bhuvi Gridanti Je Bhuri Dajana. This is a wonderful verse in the Gopi Geet, in the 10th canto. And here, basically, the gopis are singing the glories of Sri Krishna. Tava Katha Amrita. When we hear the wonderful nectarine pastimes of Sri Krishna, it is like Amrit. Mrit means death, and Amrit means the opposite. It gives us deathlessness. When we hear the wonderful pastimes of Sri Krishna, especially from a pure devotee, or we hear from the teachings of a pure devotee without concoction, and when we speak it as it is, then without any adulteration, it is also very pure in nature. So that's why it will bring us deathlessness, continuously hearing Hari Katha. And that is very important to bring us to, from the state of this conditioned state of the bodily concept, to the state of the highest state of the self-realization, which is I am an eternal servant of Krishna, and my desire is to join Krishna and Radharani in her eternal pastimes, to be joined in the service of Radha and Krishna in Vraj eternally, whether it is here in Vraj Bhumi or in Golok Vrindavan. That is eventually the goal of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Radha Dasyam is the highest, which is the pinnacle of the postgraduate, of the doctorate, of the postdoctorates. That is. And by the way, just to give a little bit of an introduction, all of our Gaudiya Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Vishwanath Chakravartipad, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, and all the 6 Goswamis, etc. Everybody in our line, mostly Narottam Das Thakur, they are actually eternal servitors of Sri Radha as little gopis known as manjaris. Yes. So this is very important. When we see a tulsi plant, we see that the leaves are the main, like representations of the gopis, and the little flowering buds are the manjaris. So these manjaris are the little gopis, and they are actually. I really don't have much time to go into all those particular nuances, but so as I can, before I enter into the Damodar Lila, it's very important. Like I said, I need to set the stage. And these manjaris are actually much younger than they are younger than the Ashtasakhis who are in the inner circle of Radharani. Now, there are many kinds of sakhis in Raj Mandal, or the maid. And as we all know that there are 5 different rasas or 5 different relationships one can have. The first relationship is of neutrality. The second is that of servitorship. And the third is known as the relationship of friendship. The fourth is the relationship of parenthood, or a parental relationship that one can have with the Supreme Lord. And the fifth is known as the conjugal. So these are known in Sanskrit as Shantras, as Dasyaras, as Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras, and Madhuryarasa. And we, as followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our post-graduation and doctorate or post-doctorate will be in Madhurya Rasa. Eventually, when we get to that stage, when we clear our sadhana bhakti stage, just like a sincere student clears all the exams and then finally enters into the final stage. So that sambandha is the first stage where we establish a relationship. Yes, I have a relationship with Krishna, or Krishna's avatars, any of Krishna's incarnations. That is sambandha. Then the next stage is when there is a sambandha, the next stage is known as abhidya. Abhidya means the process of attaining love of Godhead. And that process is that sadhana, or the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, Mahamantra. Minimum, Prabhupada said, 16 rounds? No. Prabhupada said minimum 16 good rounds. 16 good rounds. Very important. We sometimes miss out on that. Minimum 16 good rounds, following the 4 regulative principles: no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. Reading Srila Prabhupada's books is paramount, and associating with the devotees is paramount, and worshipping the deities at home is paramount. And also, whenever we get time, we should go to the tirthas. So these are the things, and study Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita, all these different Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures. Sri Prabhupada had said that, in the 12 or 13 years that he was here on this planet, many a time he said that I want to give you He had translated over hundreds big and small books. And he told his disciples that I want to give you so many more books. I want to give you the books of the Goswamis. There are so many wonderful books. I want to give you the Mahabharata. I want to give you the Ramayana. I want to so. But when Prabhupada gave, the first real book that he gave is Krishna book. Why did he do that? Because Prabhupada said, I'm an old man and I can go away anytime. And what is the Krishna book? Krishna book is the Samam Bonam, which is the lotus face of Sri Krishna of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the 10th canto. Therefore, Prabhupada gave that in the form of a very simple Krishna book while he was translating still the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the ultimate goal of studying the first 9 canto is so that we can become very good sadhana bhaktas. And eventually we would be able to enter the 10th canto. And in the 10th canto, we will be able to appreciate the wonderful, sweet pastimes of Sri Krishna. And then especially within the 10th canto, the Pancha Maharasa Adhyay, the 5 chapters that deal with the most ecstatic subject matter of the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Samam Bonam of the lives of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, which conclude into the Ras Leela. Anyways, coming back to some more little bit of tattva or philosophy. So after the Abhidhyay, where we are all struggling at the moment, where chanting 16 good rounds is a challenge every day, following the 4 regulative principles may be a challenge. There may be many temptations. Sometimes we also find that when we go to that supermarket, we want that ketchup, but it says spices. And we even find that in the very, very fine print, onion powder, garlic powder, we sometimes turn a blind eye. We found that sometimes we are invited in the wedding of devotees who sometimes have also invited because of the opposite person's relatives. They are meat eaters and they also drink alcohol. So they have to adjust in the wedding, especially nowadays. The weddings are they cater to everybody. So the Vaishnava always will cater to the Vaishnavas, and they say here, one section, no onion, no garlic, no meat. But then suddenly we've seen sometimes that the temptation comes and devotees, go to that section where even if it's vegetarian, there is onion and garlic. Oh, I didn't know that. So all these things, but once we cross those stages of sadhana bhakti with good chanting, then we will be entering into the final stages of Abhidhyay and enter into the last stage, which is the postdoc of all the postdocs, known as the Prayojan. The Prayojan means our final goal. And as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, our final goal is to serve Srimati Radharani and Krishna in the service, in separation and union of Radha and Krishna, especially in the union of Radha Krishna, serving by becoming Das Anudas Anudas of our Acharyas, who are none other than the young gopis who have been given very special position in the service of Radha Krishna in Vrindavan, in the groves of Vrindavan, especially in the most intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna, where even Sakhis like Lalita and Visakha, who are the dear intimate Sakhis of Radharani, even they are not permitted. Because if they go there, then because of their presence, sometimes Radha and Krishna may not be able to perform their intimate pastimes, without hindrance. And they can only, they're very comfortable when the young gopis, the little gopis are there, because they always need service. For example, when Radharani goes into sulky mood, which is known as man. See, we are all looking for Krishna Prem. That is the Prayojan, or the final stage. But within Krishna Prem, there are many, many different delineations. There is Prema that we find that Mother Yashoda has, and Nanda Baba and all the elderly gopis and gopas that they display towards Krishna in Raj or in Golok Vrindavan. So that is known as Sneha Prema. And then there is Prema that is displayed by his friends like Subala, Sridhama, Stota Krishna, by Arjuna, not Arjuna of Mahabharata. He is not in, this is a different Arjun, this is Gop Sakha Arjun. Like that, there are so many different Sakhas of Sri Krishna in Golok Vrindavan or in Vrindavan Dham. So they've got that Sambhrama Prem for Krishna. And then there is the gopis of Vrindavan who are in the Madhurya Rasa. And that Prema is again further delineated into different delineations. And especially this most special and the topmost gopi being Srimati Radharani, she has got those different levels of Prema known as Mana and then there is Ruda, Adiruda, Bhava, then there is Madanakya and Mohanakya Bhava. Those last two Krishna Premas are exclusively for Radharani's. It is her rights. No other gopi is even has got access to it. So I think I'm giving too much information at this point, but try to absorb it so that we can actually set our standard and bar and our goal. Because if even when a child, when you ask a little child that what do you want to become when you grow up, so one child says, I want to become a doctor, auntie. The other one will say, I want to become an engineer. The other one will say, another one will say, I want to become a pilot. So all these aspirations are there. When those aspirations become very, very sincere within their heart, that desire becomes very strong, then that little child slowly, slowly works towards it and finally attains the goal. Similarly, we are little children right now in bhakti, in sadhana bhakti, and eventually in raganuga bhakti, following in the footsteps of the Vrajvasis, we will eventually enter into that final goal, but we have to know what our goal is. Otherwise, for us, worshipping Lord Ramachandra, worshipping Vishnu, worshipping all those are all the same. But as we enter into the Damodar Ashtakam, we will realize what a big difference this is. This is an amazing difference. And our acharyas of you, this is not Satchitananda's words. This is speaking it as it is, because somehow or the other we were graced with a little bit of studying of the books of the acharyas, and of course Srila Prabhupada's 10th canto of this Damodar Lila, which is there in the 9th chapter of the Damodar Lila of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, and all these relationships that we have in this material world, we have a neutralities relationship. Like we have our neighbors, we sometimes meet our neighbors from outside when we are either mowing the lawn or we just meet them at the supermarket. We simply say hi John, hi Mary, how are you? And we are simply happy by seeing them, and they are simply happy by that. Is compared to Shantras, or the rasa known as the rasa of the yogis. There is no interaction, or there is no seva. Neither you go to their house, neither they come to your house, neither you serve them and like prasadam, or you do any kind of service. You're simply happy to see them in the front yard, or you're simply happy to see them at the bus stop, or you're simply happy to see that person in the elevator or on the train when you're going to work. That is a relationship, Shant Rasa. Then the Dasya Rasa, we all have these relationships in this material world. Dasya Rasa, we are always working for somebody, or we are somebody's boss, or we are somebody's supervisor. So that relationship of master and servant is existing. The relationship of friendship, we find that in our personal experience. We all have friends. I need not elaborate further on that. And then we have the relationship of the parental. That also I need not elaborate, because we have our parents, we have our uncles, we have aunties. They shower our blessings on us. They give us our love, parental love. And then we have the relationship of the lover and the beloved. We have our spouses, respective spouses, those who are married, a wife, husband, and those who are not married. Then there's a conjugal relationship of premi and premika, girlfriend and boyfriend. So these relationships, because they are existing in the spiritual world, they are existing in the material world. This is another very important philosophical point that I want to drive home. Now, one may wonder, why am I speaking this? And I think you all will be able to connect the dots very soon. I appreciate the patience here, because the spiritual world is known as the kaya. Kaya means the original object. And the object, when there is an object, let's say, for example, I have my hand and I place it against the wall, and if there is sufficient light, you will see a shadow of my hand. Now, this is known as the hand is kaya, or let's say myself, if I'm standing on the street and the sun is shining, then you will see my chaya or shadow on the street. But if there is no kaya, if the real object does not exist, there is no chaya. So the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual worlds. So everything is there in the spiritual world. We find all the different moods, everything, the different rasas, the relationships, because they exist there, they exist in the material. But the difference is that it's for the pleasure of Krishna and Krishna's associates. Here it is for our own sense gratification. And here our relationships are completely severed the moment we stop giving sense gratification to each other. A father is not a father, or a mother is not a mother, if the child doesn't behave, or if the child doesn't get something from the father or mother. Then they say, oh, you're the ugliest mother in the world, you're the worst father in the world, I don't want to talk to you. and so on. You're the worst friend. You were my friend. You're not my friend anymore. All those divorces happen when the sense gratification of each other comes to an end, and one cannot scratch another's back. Then the husband and wife, they separate. They go their own ways. So all these things, because these relationships, these moods, all these things are only concentrated around the bodily concept for the self, and that happens when one is in Maya. Now, one more thing before I go into the actual Leela, I want to bring home. What is if somebody were to ask me this one in one line, how can I explain Raganuga Bhakti and Sadhana Bhakti? In Sadhana Bhakti, we follow the rules and regulations strictly so that we can control our senses and we can actually come to the point of realization that I am not this body. I am a spirit soul, and I have a relation with Krishna, an eternal relation with Krishna or Krishna's incarnations. These are the three most important components in Sadhana Bhakti eventually. But also in Sadhana Bhakti, there is knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But one of the most important sentences that I have always been a student of philosophy right from my childhood, from my college days, even before joining Iskcon. Although born in a Vaishnava family, I was always intrigued because the Vaishnava family that I was born in, Pushtimar, the followers of Sri Vallabhacharya, and there was no preaching. And that is the beauty of our Gaudiya Sampradaya. We are excellent preachers. We are known as Goshti Anandis. There are two kinds of personalities, those who are highly realized, and they're fully, one is known as Goshti Anandi and one is known as Bhajan Anandi. The Bhajan Anandis, they are fully realized, and they may be the purest devotees, but they sit in one place and they do bhajan, and maybe a few other devotees who come to visit them, they get benefit, they derive benefit from them, and they do not move anywhere, and basically they do their own bhajan very nicely, and they are so absorbed. First the sadhana bhajan, and then finally the Raganuga Bhakti. They will do it sitting in one place, and then they will simply be very reclusive. They will not mix with the public much. Few of them, they come and visit, and we find that very much in Vrindavan, etc. So there is bhajan, and then there is Goshti Anandis. So Goshti Anandi is something that Prahlad Maharaj has mentioned in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that I do not want to, when Nrsimhadev Bhagwan said that I'm here, I'm very pleased with you, Prahlad, ask me anything. So then Prahlad was requested by Nrsimhadev Bhagwan. So he says, I don't really want anything material, my dear Lord. But he says, Prahlad, to please me, ask me something because I'm really pleased with you. So for the satisfaction of Nrsimhadev, Prahlad Maharaj says, okay, fine. My father, the demon, he was horrible. The king Daityaraj, please deliver him, give him something so that, it would eternally benefit him. So he says, that's without saying, 21 or 71 generations, something to that extent. They are delivered because you are a devotee, past and present, because of your devotion. That is an automatic. So ask me something. So eventually Prahlad says that, yes, that I would like to stay back in this material world and assist my Guru Maharaj Naradji. In this material world, there are millions and millions of souls who are in need of Krishna consciousness. And going back to Godhead is not my goal. I would like to assist my Guru Maharaj so that I can help, preach Krishna consciousness, assist my Guru Maharaj. And ultimately, my dear devotees, if you ask me, based on those teachings, and when I read the books of the Acharyas here and there and heard from Rasik Vaishnavas, none of us, they do not discuss going back to Godhead. This is something in the earlier stage when a child, sometimes when a mother or a father says, if you do your homework nicely, I will give you a nice chocolate, or I will let you watch your favorite cartoon a little longer, or you can play your games, little longer. Or maybe instead of 1 hour, you can have a 2 hour, you can play your video games. So that is what it is. Going back to Godhead is not the ultimate goal of the Vaishnavas, and especially in the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, because that is okay if Krishna desires, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say. Then Prabhupada used to quote him, don't try to see Krishna. Perform your services in such a way that if Krishna desires, he will see you. So if Krishna desires you come back home, back to Godhead, great, not a problem. I will come back. There I will serve him as well. But if Krishna desires, like Srila Prabhupada, is Krishna Presthaya Bhutale. He descended. Bhutale means he descended from Golok Vrindavan. So there are these nuances that we have to catch. So if Krishna desired that you go to the material world and save all those souls, then Srila Prabhupada says, oh Krishna, how can I do that? Leave your association in Golok Vrindavan, leave the association of Radharani, leave the association of all these Sakhis and Sakhas and all these wonderful Vrajvasis of Golokvasis, and go down? Not a single iota or not a single question. Yes, my dear Radharani, it will please you. Yes, my Shyam Sundar, it will please you. I'm certainly going to go. Same thing. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati iti namine. And that goes for all these very selected servitors of Sri Radha who descend for our sake to give us the highest prema. So that is what I'm talking about. Now, Satyavrat Muni, who is the composer of the Damodar Ashtakam, in some Satya Yuga, there's a conversation that was recorded in the Puranas between Narad Muni and also with some rishis. I think it was Angira Rishi, if I'm not mistaken. But please, if there's a mistake and somebody can correct me, that's fine. But Naradji had a wonderful conversation, and this conversation was based on this composition of Satyavrat Muni, the Damodar Ashtakam. And this Damodar Ashtakam, in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, it has been mentioned that Damodar Ashtakam Nama Stotram Damodar Archanam Nityam Damodar Karshati Pathet Satyavrata Uditam. One should regularly recite the prayer called the Damodar Ashtakam, which was spoken by Satyavrat Muni, which attracts Lord Damodar and which describes the worship of Lord Damodar. So one may wonder, this Damodar Ashtakam, as we go into the Leelas, we will find that in the first verse we have seen that Namami Ishwaram Satchitananda Rupam Lasata Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashoda Biyulu Kaladhavamanam Paramashtam Atyanta Tato Dhrutta Gopya. So in this particular Ashtakam, the first line starts with that Namami Ishwaram Satchit Ananda Rupam. So here Satyavrat Muni, who in some Satya Yuga has composed this particular verse. Now we have to remember that these 4 yugas are a continuous cycle until the Mahapralaya happens. Satya, we have Satya, then followed by Satya is Treta, then Dwapar, then Kalyug, then again Satya, until the end of the lifespan of Lord Brahma in that particular universe. And then there is complete annihilation, and again there is recreation of all the material worlds. And when all these material worlds are created, again it starts. So in some Satya Yuga, we don't even know, since time immemorial, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Anadikal, he uses the word. And Prabhupada has translated that since time immemorial. So we cannot even say millions of years or trillions of years. Since time immemorial, we find that Satyavrat Muni had composed this. And here he's saying that I offer my obeisances. Namami Ishwar. Ishwar means who is a controller. So Ishwara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Rupam. We are all controllers. Man is made in the image of God. The Bible says that as well. And also Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna says that Mamayam Jiva Loka Jiva Bhota Sanatan. All the different jivas are my parts and parcels. But we are very, very infinitesimal or very, very minute. And Krishna, we are Anu, very, very atomic. But Krishna is Vibhu, he's gigantic. But because we are made, because we are his parts and parcels, we possess all the qualities of Sri Krishna, but in a very minute way. And of course, because we have come in touch with Maya, all these qualities have become perverted. All these qualities have become polluted for our sense gratification. So here, Satyavrat Muni first starts with eulogizing Sri Krishna. It is said that this is a conversation between, Sanatana Goswami mentions in the Digdarshini that this particular Damodar Ashtakam is like a subtle conversation, a suksma samvad, a subtle conversation between Satyavrat Muni and Lord Sri Krishna Yashodanandan. So here we have to get that mindset and try to enter into that consciousness of the acharyas. And when we try to do that, then we will be extremely, very full of, we will be overjoyed that here is a wonderful dimension that our acharyas have given to the Damodar Ashtakam. Otherwise, of course, once we sing the Damodar Ashtakam, we read the translation every Kartik, every day. But there's not much we really get out of it unless and until we hear Hari Katha from a pure source, or we have read Hari Katha from a pure source, we have assimilated it, and of course, we can share it with others, just as this particular servant is trying to do here. So he first of all accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why he's offering his obeisances. When there is when we are actually in front of the Supreme Lord, we obviously, the first thing that a sadhak does is offer obeisances. So here in awe and reverence, he is offering obeisances to Sri Krishna. How does he start? In awe and reverence, in sadhana bhakti. So Namami Ishwaram, and he sings Sat Chit Ananda Rupam. Sat means undoubtedly eternal. Chit, I'm giving you the meaning of Satchitanand in a very general way. And there are many deeper meanings which I really don't have time to go into the deeper Gaudiya nuances, but I will touch on a couple if I can. Chit means is full of consciousness, or is fully cognizant. And Ananda means full of bliss. Now, this is the general meaning. So Lord Vishnu, Narayana, Lord Narsingadev, Lord Ramachandra, etc. The one who spoke Bhagavad Gita, the Lord of Dwarka, Dwarkesh, or Mathuresh, the Lord of Mathura, he is also Satchitananda Rupam, or any of the forms of the Supreme Lord, or any of his incarnations. They're all Satchitananda Rupam. But here Satyavrat Muni particularly specifies which Satchitananda Rupa. And that is what has attracted the Gaudiya Vaishnavas to this particular Ashtakam. So please let's dive deep into it. He says, Namami Ishwaram, that Supreme Personality of Godhead who is Satchit Ananda Rupam, who has got this wonderful personality, who is eternal, undoubtedly, who is fully cognizant or fully conscious about everything, and he is Ananda, the source of bliss, and he himself is bliss personified. On Janmashtami, especially the Vrajvasis, they sing Nanda Grihe Ananda Bhayo Jai Kanaiya Lal Ki, Hati Ghoda Pal Ki Jai Kanaiya Lal. So what do they say? Nanda Grihe Ananda Bhayo. Nanda Grihe Ananda Bhayo means in the house of Nanda Maharaj. There are two meanings. Everybody was in bliss because Krishna appeared. But Nanda Griha Ananda Bhayo means, another meaning is joy or bliss personified appeared in the house of Nanda Maharaj. So similarly, the Satchitananda Rupam, the Satyavrat Muni is worshipping that particular form of the Supreme Lord, that who is Sat, who is eternal, because the source of everything, Janmadi Yasya, everything that appears is from Nandanandan, Yashodanandan in Golok Vrindavan. Ishwara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Rupam, Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That's the first verse of Brahma Samhita. And Lord Brahma was personally initiated by Lord Krishna through his flute. And Srimad Bhagavatam confirms that in the first verse, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye, that he was initiated, given the spiritual knowledge of Golok Vrindavan. He was given the Kam Gayatri by Sri Krishna Nandanandan from Golok Vrindavan. This particular Brahma, he was initiated within his heart. Tene Brahma, that Brahma Gyan was given to him by Sri Krishna. So then, after giving that special knowledge of Golok Vrindavan and his particular position, Lord Brahma compiles the Brahma Samhita, and especially the 5th chapter describes the wonderful Golok Vrindavan. And that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he visited the Rangaji temple, or I think it was the Keshavji temple in South India, he said, look in that particular corner, dig. And behold, there are 100 chapters of the Brahma Samhita, but only the 5th chapter manifests on the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's how we have this Brahma Samhita, which His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur translated. But Srila Prabhupada said, my Guru Maharaj has done a wonderful job. So there is no need for me to translate it. So today, the Brahma Samhita that is available, the purport and the translations are by His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So in there, Lord Brahma was given this complete knowledge. That is the Satyam, that knowledge. So that is what is Sat of Satchitananda Rupam. That is the Sat, that is the eternal, which is Golok Vrindavan, and Nandanandan is the source of everything. Chitta, he is fully cognizant, and that Chitta means here Krishna, Nandanandan or Yashoda Nandan in Golok Vrindavan is fully cognizant of how loving his devotees are. And he tries to reciprocate with them. That is the meaning of the Chitta. The other meaning of Chitta means he knows everything directly and indirectly, as Srimad Bhagavatam says, Yato Anvaya Ditartascha Artheshu Abhigya Swarat. Again, from the first verse I'm quoting. Krishna knows everything directly and indirectly. Like he's telling in the Bhagavad Gita, he's telling Arjun that, yes, Arjun, I had actually spoken this Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivaswan. And, Arjun was casting a doubt that how is it possible? We are cousins, and he says, yes, I know you can forget, but I cannot forget. I know everything on the past, present, and future. And I know not only everything, but I know everything about each and every living entity. So that is the meaning of Chitta. But again, the Rasik meaning or the deeper meaning of Chitta from the highest concept of Gaudiya Vaishnava means he is so conscious about the love and the relationship between him and the devotees of Raj. That is the meaning of that word Chitta. And Anand means that bliss that Krishna derives when he's interacting in the love with the devotees of Raj, and vice versa. As we will see in the third verse, where Krishna says that I drown all the residents of Gokul in a pool of ecstasy. So that is the meaning of Ananda. Like Mahaprabhu says in the Chaitanya Sistastakam, what does he say in the very first verse? Ananda Ambudhi Vardhanam. So he is the ocean already of Anand. But when the devotees in Vrindavan or in Raj, in that bhav, when we serve Sri Krishna for his pleasure, then even the ocean of bliss keeps on increasing. The ocean of bliss is Srimati Radharani, the ocean of bliss is Sri Krishna. And when we serve Radha Krishna very nicely, both the oceans, they keep on increasing. Vardhanam means to increase. That is the love of the Vrajvasis and vice versa. So Satyavrat Muni says, Namami Ishwaram Satchit Ananda Rupam Lasata Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam. Unto that personality whose earrings now from Aishwarya, he is now, which is known as Aishwarya Visesha. He is offering obeisances in a awe and reverence. That is known as the bhav, which is kind of does not bring a lot of intimacy. That acknowledgement is there, that yes, but that acknowledgement of the opulence that Krishna has displayed is that Satchitananda in Gokul. But what does he see? That, he has been given the very special mercy so that he sees the Leelas of Krishna. And one in particular is that Krishna's earrings are frolicking and touching his cheeks. So now he's describing his rupa, his beauty. But first he describes the beauty of his ornaments. He describes the beauty of how fortunate his earrings are, that these earrings are able to kiss the cheeks of Sri Krishna. So we have to understand one thing, another very important philosophical point and an eternal reality. Everything in the spiritual world, upward of the Karana Udaka Jal, where Lord Mahavishnu reclines, and above the Brahma Jyoti, where Vaikuntha starts, all the way to the topmost planet in Krishna Loka, which is Golok Vrindavan, everything is chitta, or full of consciousness. There is nothing inanimate. Everything is full of consciousness. For example, in the material world, the table, the chair, this computer, or any other objects, they do not have any life. So if I talk to them and say, my dear table, can you come here, please? You're a little bit far. Or my dear chair, can you move about 3 feet and come closer? I can keep on thinking about it for the rest of my life. I can keep on yelling, screaming, but the chair is not even going to budge because it doesn't have life. But in the spiritual world, apparently things that are inanimate in this material world, they are full of consciousness. So the earrings are a real person. There is a soul in it. So in Golok Vrindavan or even in Vaikuntha, one should not feel that if somebody is let's say a flute or some other objects in the material world that are inanimate, they are actually real persons, that are entities that are serving Sri Krishna or their lordships. So they have a very special seva to perform. So they are never to be undermined. So similarly, the earrings is a real person personified. Somewhere embedded is the soul that has taken the shape of earrings. And how fortunate, Satyavrat Muni says that, look, all these different yogis are sitting in sadhana and so many people are praying for the mercy of the Lord, but look how fortunate these earrings are. So here there is a very important point, that when we want something from somebody, we start eulogizing them, right? So we say, even in Hindi or some of our languages, aap yahan aaye ho, aapka hetu kya hai? What you have come here to me, that's great, but what's your purpose? Hetu means purpose. There's a purpose. Somebody has something they need, so they come to you. And then they start talking very sweetly. Oh, what a beautiful shirt you have. Oh, I like your glasses, the Ray-Ban glasses. They're amazing. Is this a new model that you've got? Oh, I like your beautiful watch. I've not seen this. It's amazing. So what they do is they try to eulogize the person with the objects that the person is wearing, or the objects around it, or even the family members. So here, because Satyavrat Muni, this is a conversation, we should not forget. He wants something from Krishna. He's got the darshan of Krishna. He's got the audience of Krishna. So first, as soon as he sees him, he says that I offer my obeisances to you, the one who is in Gokul, splendorously. Namami Ishwaram Satchitananda Rupam Lasata Kundalam. Your beautiful earrings that are touching you, you're so lucky, oh earrings. So Krishna is going to feel great. Oh, he's eulogizing my jewelry. Well, he really must be wanting something, So he's giving a very, very nice, pleasant, he's setting up a nice stage because he needs something from Krishna. Lasata Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam, and you are situated in this splendorous Gokul. Brajamanam means in splendor. And there is no such splendor that we can find anywhere in the entire creation, including the Vaikuntha Lokas. As much splendor we can find in Golok Vrindavan. And in Golok Vrindavan, there is a section known as Gokul. Again, I do not have the time in order to explain the different parts of Golok Vrindavan. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has explained that in the Krishna Samhita. Golok Vrindavan is shaped in the form of a lotus flower, and each and every petal represents different places in Golok Vrindavan, including Gokul. So Gokul is one of the places in Golok Vrindavan. So there he is talking about the splendor of Golok. So now he's talking about the beauty of Sri Krishna. He's talking about the beauty of the dham, or the place, or the home of Sri Krishna. And then he's now talking about Yashoda Bhiyu Lukkalat Dhavamanam Paramashtam Atyanta Tato Dhrutya Gopya. So Yashoda Bhiyu Lukkalat Dhavamanam, and now he's talking about the pastimes that he has just seen. That, oh, look at the love of your mother Yashoda. Yashoda Bhiyu Lukkalat Dhavamanam. You were on top of a upturned grinding motor, and when your mother came to catch you, you ran, and Paramastam Atyanto Tato Dhrutya Gopya, and you got caught from behind. So here now he is further eulogizing Sri Krishna about Mother Yashoda and the love of Mother Yashoda, and the pastime of how he got caught when he was running by Mother Yashoda's love. Thus, further pleasing Krishna, simply hearing about the eulogies, or hearing about the kirti, or hearing about the description of his pastime, or the interaction with his mother in this Dham Bandhan Lila. So in order to understand this very first verse and to come to the stage of this Damodar Lila where Krishna is running and Mother Yashoda is chasing, as we can see in the poster here, we have to first go into Jiva Goswami's Gopal Champu. In Jiva Goswami's Gopal Champu, it has been described that it is Diwali day. And at that time, Krishna is only 2.5 years old. That's the age of Krishna when this Leela happened. The Damodar Lila, or tying of Krishna to the motor, and thus known as Damodar. So that time, Mother Yashoda is living in Nanda Bhavan or Yashoda Bhavan. There in Nanda Maharaj, he is the king of Raj. Navanira the Nindita Kanti Dharam Rasasagara Nagara Bhupa Varam Shubhavanki Macharu Shikhanda Sikhim Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Vraja Raja Sutam. Vraja Raja Sutam. Vraj Raj, who is Vraj Raj? Vraj Raj is Nanda Maharaj, and Sutam means his son. So I offer my obeisances to the son of Nanda Maharaj. That is the Gaudiya Vaishnava Bhav. So here, Yashoda Rani, she is also known as Rani. She is actually has sent all her maid servants, because she has so many maid servants in her palace. And even Nanda Maharaj himself and Rohini Mata, who lived with Nanda Maharaj at that time, along with little Balram, they all have gone that night, before the night of Diwali, Dipavali, to the house of Upananda. Upananda is the elder brother of Nanda Maharaj. And Upananda ji is responsible for organizing the festivities of Dipavali in Vraj. So, and at that time, the next day being the new year, and nowadays we have Govardhan Puja, but at that time there was no Govardhan Puja. We have to try to understand, because Govardhan Puja only started when Krishna was 7 years old, when he said that we should offer everything to Govardhan ji. There's no need to offer this to Indra. But here Krishna is only 2.5 years, to be noted. So everybody goes to help. And as we know, when there's a big festival, we know like Atmaram Prabhu and Acharinidhi Prabhu and some of the devotees in Iskcon Calgary who are involved in festivals, you know how much preparation is required, whether it is Gaur Purnima or whether it is Krishna Janmashtami, and now Govardhan Puja will be coming. It takes several weeks and months of preparation. It needs many, many devotees, cooperating together to make the festival very successful. So Upananji was responsible and in charge of the festival, and he needed a lot of help. So Mother Yashoda told Mother Rohini, you go. And of course, Balram baby, who is also 2.5 years, goes with the mother. And all the maid servants have gone. And so many Vrajvasis are helping in to organize this festival of Dipavali. Now Mother Yashoda is completely alone at home. And the previous night, Mother Yashoda was thinking that every day since Krishna started walking at the age perhaps of about 1 year old or 1.5 year old, him and his coward boys, they went all over Gokul, and they went and simply went into the houses of the gopis, and they ransacked the storehouse where the butter was kept, where the yogurt, the sweet yogurt was kept, where all the different paraphernalia that was there, all the different sweets, they used to simply ransack. They not only ate it themselves, but they fed it to the monkeys and to the different birds and animals of Vrindavan, and then after that they would break the pots, and every day some gopi would come and complain. So Mother Yashoda would not believe them. Mother Yashoda would say to them, to the gopis, look gopis, why are you after my little child? You know, Nanda Baba, my husband Nanda Maharaj, he gave 900,000 cows in charity to the Brahmanas and the Vipras when Krishna appeared in charity. So we have so many Goshalas, so many cows, and we are Vaishyas. We are cow protectors. And our main businesses is milk, yogurt, cream, and we even sell it to Mathura. It goes to the palace of Kamsa. And we have so much. Why would my son steal a little bit of butter or yogurt in your house? And like that, she would write them off. But then she was thinking the previous night prior to the Diwali day, excuse me, that, I think the reason is she was speculating. Jiva Goswami says that because perhaps um, all this yogurt and the butter, the makan was made by my maid servants because she's a queen. Hare Krishna. Thank you. It was made by the maid servants. But all these maid servants have gone now. Even Rohini Mata is not here. Perhaps Krishna desires that I should make it with my own hands and feed him. And once I do that, then perhaps he will not go here hither and thither to steal makan, to steal butter. So that previous night, she had actually gone to the Goshala that is in the palace of Nanda Maharaj. There are thousands of Goshalas in Gokul, but there was a very special Goshala which had got very special Surbi cows that gave unlimited milk. Pishangi, Jamune, Gange, Mridangamukhi, these were the names of the cows. And when Mother Yashoda went there, she called out their names, she petted them, and she said that, I need your milk today, Maya. I need to make some sweet yogurt and I need to make a lot of it. And I need for Krishna. And all the cows that were there, they started moving and they started licking Mother Yashoda. And Mother Yashoda, personally with her own hands, she started taking milk from the udder of those cows. Sweet milk flowed. And Mother Yashoda, as she was milking the cows, she was singing the glories of little Krishna. She was singing. And then she actually went into the kitchen, and in a big pot, she put that milk and she put the starter and made so that the next day, very sweet yogurt would be ready. Done with that, Diwali day, she wakes up very early in the morning, early in the Brahma Muhurat. And when she wakes up early in the Brahma Muhurat, at that time, little Krishna, 2.5-year-old Krishna, is simply sleeping. He's sleeping, he's very in a deep, deep slumber. And it is described, the beauty of Sri Krishna is so beautiful. Mother Yashoda just looking at his beauty and sleeping, all completely naked, just with a few ornaments, and a little waist belt, a few ankle bells, and a little pearl necklace, and with small little earrings in his ears, and his beautiful eyes were closed like the blue lotus that blossoms, and then when it closes, the eyes of Sri Krishna, the blue lotus is very rare, and they look so beauty. And Mother Yashoda was full of tears out of Vatsalya Ras, out of so much prema. I mean, just like looking at Krishna, milk started flowing from her breast. Her blouse and sari became wet out of milk. And her tears of ecstasy flowed in her eyes. And she caressed her little baby on his forehead. My dear Krishna, you sleep well. I have to go to the kitchen. I have to get ready. Today is Diwali day. And I promise you, I'm going to churn some wonderful sweet butter for you today. So you rest well. And like that, she caressed and caressed and caressed, and she cried and cried and cried. And then slowly, without much movement, she got away from the bed and went into the inner compartments. She had a wonderful bath. And then she came back to check on Krishna. Krishna was still sleeping in a deep slumber. And Mother Yashoda, again, was just simply, giving him vari, simply giving him blessings. May you live long, oh Mukutmani, oh Nanda Maharaj's son. And like that, she was giving him blessings. Mother Yashoda was so beautiful. Jiva Goswami describes that. He says that she was adorned in the most beautiful silken sari. We all know in Dipavali, on Diwali, even the poorest of the poor in India or in many, many countries, those who are followers of Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism, There is a new year. It's a new time. And they wear brand new clothes. Some who can afford, for those who are very affluent, they wear the most expensive clothing, most expensive jewelry. And Mother Yashoda was bedecked with wonderful ornaments, beautiful bangles, beautiful necklaces, nice silken sari. And she looked so beautiful. She had beautiful ankle bells on her feet. And Jiva Goswami says she was so beautiful. And her name, Yashoda. Yashoda in Sanskrit, if you break it down, it compiles it's two words combined. Yash plus da. Yash, da means to dan or to give, and yash means fame. So one who gives fame. So some of those who are in the Vatsalya Rasa, who really are the who really love Mother Yashoda, their consciousness is that Krishna is famous because you have given fame to Krishna, Yashoda. There's a similar analogous word for Radharani's mother. Her name is Kirtida. Kirti means the same as fame, and Da means to give. So it is Radharani is famous because of Kirtida, because of Mother Kirtida. So like that. So then Mother Yashoda, after giving lots of blessings to her sleeping child, she immediately rushes to the kitchen, which is not too far. And then she puts in a wonderful little a big churning rod. Sorry, I said little. A churning rod in the pot of yogurt that she had last night had just set to firm. And then she has a rope around it, twirled, and she starts doing the manthan, the churning. And as soon as she starts doing the churning, what happens? Something extremely magical that we can only witness if we are fortunate to go to Golok Vrindavan, to the spiritual world, or we are fortunate to hear it from those personalities who descend from the Golok Vrindavan. So here we are hearing from the personality Jiva Goswami, who is none other than Vilas Manjari, a very, very close servitor of Rup Goswami or Rupa Manjari, who is in turn a very, very close servitor of Lalita Sakhi, who in turn is a very close servitor or a friend of Srimati Radharani. So that grace flows like that. As we know, like we know that song that is written by Narottam Das Thakur, Radha Krishna Prana Mora, Jugala Kishora, Radha Krishna Prana Mora, Jugala Kishora, Kalinde Jamune Keli. Like that, in the end, he's saying, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dase Anudasa Sevayadhikaro Diye Narottam Dasa Radha Krishna Pran Mora Jugala Kishora. So in that he's saying Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dase Anu Das Seva Adhikara Diye Narottam Das. So Narottam Das is actually one of the manjaris in the eternal pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And his Guru Maharaj is also a manjari, Manjulali Manjari. And Narottam Das Thakur is praying in this world when he's praying to Mahaprabhu that please, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dase Anudas. Dase Anudas means here is consciousnesses. Usually the way it is translated is servant of the servant. And that's what the bhav is, right? Whether we are worshippers of Narayan and Vaikuntha. But in Golok Vrindavan, especially in the Vaishnava Sampradaya of the Gaudiya Vaishnava, Dase Anudas means the bhav of Manjari. The bhav of serving the Manjaris, like Srila Prabhupada, we don't know who he is. Prabhupada, somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, what is your eternal position in Golok Vrindavan? So Srila Prabhupada said, if I tell you, you will faint. And he simply smiled it off. So he kept a secret. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is Nayana Manjari. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur or Srila his Siksha Guru, Srila Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj, meaning Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's initiating spiritual master is Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. He is Guna Manjari. and Gunamanjari, and Gorkishore Babaji Maharaj's Siksha Guru is Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So actually, he is not the initiating spiritual master, but Bhakti Vinod Thakur is a Siksha Guru. So we have a very important relationship with Siksha Gurus also. It is just not the initiating spiritual master. One very important tattva that we must realize. Sometimes we get this tendency to get carried away. My God sister, my God brother. No, we are all under the umbrella of Mahaprabhu. We are all under the umbrella of Rup Goswami. We are all under the umbrella of Srila Prabhupada. So we should not make that particular distinction. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is none other than Kamla Manjari, and his Siksha Guru is Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. So he never took initiation from Jagannath, but in spite of that, he is considered his guru, and his pictures we keep and revere on the altar. So all these acharyas, Rup Goswami is Rupa Manjari, Sanatan Goswami is Labhanga Manjari, Jiva Goswami is Vilas Manjari, like that. All these acharyas are Manjaris, and that is why he's begging that give me Dase Anudas. So basically it means servant of the Manjaris. And that is what our eventual goal should be when we are perfected in our sadhana bhakti and we enter into Raganuga bhakti. That is what we should desire. Perhaps one day or some lifetime, whenever we attain that perfection, His Divine Grace Prabhupada will show his position as his who is in Golok Vrindavan, and eventually we will be serving him and his sincere followers in the line of disciplic succession. So here we have to, so Mother Yashoda, an amazing thing that happens is when she's churning, at that time, she starts singing Sankirtan. And at that time, she is singing the wonderful pastimes of Sri Krishna until he has turned 2.5 years old, right from the time he appeared. And the moment she starts singing and her hands start churning the rod, an amazing thing happens. The churning rod is also, we have to again remind ourselves, is a person, chitta, full of consciousness. So he kind of complements Mother Yashoda's kirtan with the sound of a mridang. Dik, 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 dik. And the bangles or the bracelets of Mother Yashoda and the ankle bracelets of Mother Yashoda, they are exactly acting like they are also joining in the Sankirtan, like the Kartal. Dik, dik, ching, ching, dik, dik, ching, ching, dik, dik, ching, ching, dik, dik, ching, ching. And wonderful, that is called Sankirtan. That's one of the meanings of Sankirtan, when we all chant together. So the kartals, the bangles, the ankle bracelets, the ankle bracelets, the churning rod, and the swooshing in the yogurt that is running. All these wonderful entities of Golok. They are actually supporting Mother Yashoda in Sankirtan, and that is the real mood. When we perform kirtan in the temple or Sankirtan, what should we actually be looking out for? Our consciousness should be to please Krishna, to Radha Krishna especially, and their intimate associates. Sometimes we find that somebody who is very over enthusiastic, he might be a very good mridang player, but he will not go if he is bored or somebody is playing the kartals, they will accelerate. They want the singer to go fast, or they will play, some of them will play off tune. They will not play into the proper tal. So that is not proper Sankirtan. Sankirtan is not meant for the pleasure, like an entertainment that we find in a Bollywood stage or a musical thing that most mundaners do. This is, if that consciousness is there when we perform Sankirtan, it is for the pleasure of Krishna and his intimate associates, then our Sankirtan will be successful. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says Sankirtan, one of the meanings is congregational chanting, no doubt. Samyak Kirtan iti Sankirtan. Samyak means full, along with many devotees. But also Samyak Kirtan means that Samyak means full Kirtan, means when in the Gaudiya Bhav means Radha and Krishna. Without Radhaji, and without Krishna, it is not complete. We find that even many Vaishnavas, they worship Sri Krishna alone, like simply just Sri Krishna, like Miraji. Mirabai used to do that. That is the reason why the Gaudiya Vaishnavas do not worship Krishna in the mood of Miraji. There is much more to it, because Gaudiya Vaishnavism different. There are gopis that are known as the Swapaksha gopis of Radharani. They are the well-wishers of Radharani, and they are the friends of Radharani, and they are for Radha's service, for her pleasure, along with Krishna. But first Radha. And obviously, Krishna is most pleased when somebody pleases Radharani, and vice versa. Radharani is most pleased when somebody pleases Krishna. But the ultimate goal of the Gaudiya Vaishnavism is Radha Dasyam. And if there is someone who is a competitor of Radhaji and who wants to take Krishna away from Radharani, then for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we do not associate with them. We do not even want to hear about them. And these examples are there in the life of Raghunath Das Goswami. Again, due to the time constraint, I'm really trying my best to complete as much as I can in the first session. So here, Mirabai, as an example, she is a competitor of Radharani. Mere to Giridhar Gopal, dusra na koi, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, like that. She wants Krishna to herself. But the gopis like Lalita, Vishakha, and the Manjaris, especially our acharyas, they always want that Krishna and Radharani to be together, and always they want Radha Krishna. They do not want to enjoy Krishna, especially the Manjaris. So this is a very important tattva. Even so many Vaishnava sampradayas are there. Even within those who are worshipping Sri Krishna, our specialty in the Mahaprabhu's camp is Radha Dasyam, for the pleasure of Radharani and not to become a competitor. So this is the very, very the pinnacle of postdoc within Vaishnavism, especially in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And that is the reason we do not sing the bhajans of Meera. Some people who are of a general mood, they will sing it, but those who have understood the bhav of Raghunath Das Goswami, Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then it's just like when you are already a cardiologist, then you do not need to go into other parts of the body. Not really. That's not your specialty. You will just take care of the best of your ability, the patient's heart, right? That's your job. So similarly, our job, our seva is Radha Dasyam. That is anukul to Sri Radha, not pratikul, not against Sri Radha. So this is one very important factor that I wanted to, or one very important tattva as what Gaudiya Vaishnavas are. So here the Sankirtan is wonderfully going on in the kitchen, and Mother Yashoda is singing the glories, and she's singing that, oh Krishna, this Braj or the Brajvasis are so fortunate that you appeared in Braj. And even the gopis are singing the same thing, starting in the Gopi Geet. By the way, tomorrow, Sunday, the 31st of October, Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad Group, who I am a servant of, we will be singing Gopi Geet at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern time, which would be 6 p.m. Mountain time. A link will be sent to Acharya Nidhi Prabhu, and then Prabhuji, you can share it with all. So we will be singing Gopi Geet, and I will be doing some katha on Gopi Geet. So those who are interested, please feel free to join. So even the gopis sing, they start the first verse of Gopi, Tava Katham, Jayati Te Adhikam Janmana Vraja. That your appearance in Vraj has made it even more glorious. So like this, she's singing in a very melodious sound the pastimes of Sri Krishna since the time of birth. Like even when Krishna appeared, she sang that, oh, you are the Mukutamani of Nanda Maharaj, meaning the crown jewel on Nanda Maharaj's head. We are so fortunate that you appeared in our household, because they were both very old. When Krishna appeared, Nanda Baba and Yashoda Mai they were already very old, of old age. And they were so much bliss when Krishna appeared to them. So like that, she kept on singing, and she sang like when the gopis, when Krishna appeared, the gopis sang that Rani tero bhagya savanate nyaro. Rani tero bhagya savanate nyaro. This is in Vraj Bhasha. Jayo puta suputa sulachana. Jayo puta suputa sulachana. Kula dipaka ujiaro. Rani tero bhagya sabanate nyaro. So the Vrajvasis, the gopis, when Krishna appeared, they sang the Rani, oh Yashoda Mai, bhagya sabanate nyaro. Your fortune is so great. It is greatest amongst all. Sabante nyaro. Rani tero bhagya sabanate nyaro. Jayo puta suputa, that you gave birth to such a wonderful son. Jayo puta suputa sulakshana. And look at the beauty, the lakshan, or the qualities of your wonderful, beautiful son. Kula dipak ujiyaro. And he is the lamp that illuminates your dynasty. And similarly, the same way, Mother Yashoda is singing the glories of Krishna in a similar connotation, saying that, look, you have actually become the lamp, the illuminating lamp of Nanda Maharaj's dynasty. And like that, she was singing, and the Sankirtan was amazing. And then what happens? Then what happens is Krishna, he wakes up, not finding his mother. It is still dark in the bedroom. He starts crying. Maya, Maya. So in this Damodar Lila, this is the first time Krishna starts crying. And because he is crying, he cannot find his mother. He's looking around. Again, this is from Gopal Champu. He hears the wonderful melodious singing of Mother Yashoda. So he wants to get down from the bed, but he's so little, 2.5 years, the bed is high. So he's wondering, how should I do that? And when he slowly grabs the bed sheet and drags it down, and he places his first foot on the ground with his toe, very slowly and cautiously. And when he's able to do that, he places his second foot, and then he's down. And it is described so wonderfully that his beauty is that now he's crying. His mascara has all been completely mixed with his tears. It's like Mother Kunti. She is describing in Canto 1 in her prayers in the 8th chapter that, yes, I saw that when Mother Yashoda was punishing you, and when she had a stick, even how you cried, and the mascara was completely mixed with your tears, as if it was the Ganga and the Jamuna flowing. And how scared you are, even though death personified or fear personified is scared of you, you were simply scared of your mother. This is what you are, O Krishna. So, of course, this is the first time this mention, very little bit of a mention of the Damodar Lila is found in the first canto, in chapter number 8 by Mother Kunti. And then, of course, straight away into the 10th canto. So anyways, so he is full of tears, and it's kind of dark. And then he kind of jig jazzes his way. And Jiva Goswami described as if it is a little elephant baby. A little elephant baby, if you look at the gait of, or the walk of a little elephant baby, never walks straight. It's always zigzagging. Similarly, Krishna looks so amazing, his beauty and everything. He zigzags his way. He cannot see. It's still dark, and his eyes have made his vision blurry. Just like sometimes when we are in the middle of the night and we have to go to the bathroom, so we also have to kind of, zigzag our way because of the dark. We take support of the different objects that we are familiar with, and then we finally make it into the bathroom. So similarly, he's trying to make his way, but how does he make his way? Through, because Sankirtan attracts Sri Krishna. Mother Yashoda is singing. This is one of the most important philosophies, that in order to attract Krishna, even the most perfected devotees of Krishna perform Sankirtan. So Sankirtan, right at the neophyte stage, or even at the state of the highest perfection, even being an intimate associate of Krishna, whether being in motherly love or in the Sakhya Ras or even in the Madhurya Ras, the gopis also sing the glories of Sri Krishna, and that's what attracts him the most. Now that Krishna has finally reached the kitchen and he is crying even louder, and Mother Yashoda is so much absorbed in Sankirtan that she does not notice that Krishna has entered the kitchen. That is the effect of Sankirtan. It takes you into a most transcendental state where we are oblivious of everything around us. When we chant the holy names very nicely, then we are so absorbed in the holy names or the pastimes while chanting the holy names that we do not realize if the phone is ringing or somebody's talking to us. Perhaps some of you all may have had a glimpse of that particular state. Like when Rup Goswami used to chant, he was chanting the holy names in Vrindavan, sitting under one of the trees, and Ashtavakra Muni was passing by. He was one of those Brahmins who was bent in many places, actually in 8 different places. And while he was passing by and he was chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Rup Goswami was chanting intensely. He was completely absorbed and he started laughing. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Ram. And Ashtavakra Muni, who was just close by, passing, he was thinking that, look, I'm bent, and such a Mahanta, a great personality of Rupa Goswami, is also making fun of me. So what's the big deal that the children and everybody makes fun of me? And he was so disappointed and disgusted. And then, because that happened, Rupa Goswami, actually, he was visualizing while chanting one of the pastimes between Radha and Krishna in the Nikunja, in the bowers of Vrindavan, how Radharani was so upset and Krishna was trying to please her, and Krishna was speaking so wonderful, sweet words, and Radharani says, and he used to shrug off his hand, and he would cover her face with the veil, and Krishna would slowly try to touch her veil and say, I'm so sorry, and he would catch his ears. And Rup Goswami was laughing at that, but because somehow or the other, unknowingly had offended that Brahmin, that vision had disappeared. So Sanatana Goswami appeared after a few minutes and he says that, my dear brother, because he was also very exalted, I was just seeing this wonderful Leela and suddenly it disappeared. I don't know. So then Sanatana Goswami says that, I don't think you may have committed any offenses knowingly, but unknowingly you may have. So then how do I fix this? Rup Goswami asked. So Sanatana Goswami says, well, the best way is to, call all the Vrajavasis and all the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas for a bhandara, for a feast. And if you find that those who have not come through your invitation, then you can understand that somehow or the other they are not happy with you. So everybody came except this Ashtavakra Muni. So eventually, Rupa Goswami went to him and said, please forgive me, Ashtavakra Muni, I have committed some offense unknowingly. Please punish me. Whatever you say, I will accept. And then he said, yeah, you did this. I was passing by. Then, Sanatana Goswami was standing there, said that actually, Rupa Goswami was chanting intensely and he had already entered into the eternal pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And he was looking at this wonderful pastime and he was laughing. And then Ashtavakra fell down at his feet and, please forgive me. I'm an offender, not you. So like that, the point being that when we chant Sankirtan, without distraction, I see sometimes that we get distracted when somebody's chanting the holy names. We are disrespected because the holy name is Sri Krishna. The holy name Hare Krishna is Krishna and his intimate associates. Hara means the topmost associate is Srimati Radharani, but also it includes all her intimate associates. That is Radharani, Lalita, Vishaka, the Ashtasakis, the Manjaris. All our acharyas are included in the word Hara. Yes, my dear devotees, this is another seminar or a session by itself just on the holy name. Because Mahaprabhu says, Namna Makari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. Nija means my own internal potencies. The who can be the most intimate? That would be the Vrajvasis. So they are present in the holy names. And who are the Vrajvasis? Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, all of them are present in the word Hara. And when we chant the word Hara or Hare, and when we chant Krishna, and when we chant Rama, Rama is not Lord Ramachandra. Although some people in the original beginning state, somebody says, yeah, it's okay to chant. Even Prabhupada had said that. Just somehow the other chant. But in our Gaudiya Vaishnava consciousness, Ram is not even Balram. Because this is Gaudiya Bhav. Gaudiya Bhav is Madhurya Ras. So there is no connection with Balram directly in Madhurya Ras as such. Because Balram is in Sakhya Ras in one sense. But because he is present in the Madhurya Ras as Radharani's younger sister, Ananga Manjari, but when we are addressing Ram, Ram particularly means the intimate association of Radha and Krishna, known as that Ram is the abbreviation of Raman. That is at the end of the Gopi Gate, also we find that the Gopis are saying, Ha Nath, even Radharani is actually saying, Ha Nath Ramana Preshta, Kwasid Mahabaho, oh mighty arm Krishna, where are you? When he disappeared in the forest, the second disappearance after the Ras Leela. So he said, hey, Ha Nath Ramana, Raman, one who is sporting with me. So short form of one of the short forms of Raman is Ram. So this is, as we escalate in our quality of chanting, all these different pastimes will manifest when they are in the Raganuga Bhakti. That is the Mahamantra. It is so full of potency, right from the neophyte to the most intimate associate. Even Krishna himself chants the Mahamantra. How somebody can ask? As Mahaprabhu, 12 years he chanted in the Gambhira to get the ultimate object, which is the mood of Srimati Radha. So Sankirtan is very important in all stages. Srimad Bhagavatam is Sankirtan. The glories, singing the glories of Sri Krishna, his avatars, his pastimes, that is Sankirtan. Srimad Bhagavatam is Mahamantra, non-different. There are different darshans of Srimad. Srimad Bhagavatam is Radharani. Ultimately, Srimad Bhagavatam is Radha Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But as we hear from the Rasik Vaishnavas, we will understand the beauty and how in this bottomless ocean, how we can dive deeper and deeper. So Sankirtan is there, Mother Yashoda and everybody is who are there in that kitchen are completely absorbed. Completely absorbed. Krishna had to actually cry louder, but even then, and then finally he goes close to Mother Yashoda and she starts pulling at Mother Yashoda's sari. Because he's so short, 2.5 years old. Lo and behold, Mother Yashoda opens her eyes as she is churning and looking down. Oh, Lala, you're here. In Vraj, the little baby boys are called as Lala, and the girls are known as Lali. If you go to Barsana, the temple is known as Ladli Lal Temple. Ladli Lal. If you go to Rawal, the birthplace of Radharani, the deities are known as Ladli Lal. Ladli means Radharani, and Lal means Krishna. So this is in Vraj Brasha, Lali and Lala. Even today, if you go to Vraj, in Vrindavan, you will find that devotees call the little boys and girls, hey Lala, come here. Oh Lali, come here. So, oh Lala, you are here. And she immediately stops her churning and picks up baby Krishna and gives him she gives him a lot of kisses, which eventually we will find in verse number 5 that Satyavrat Muni describes about the kissing of Mother Yashoda, the Gopya. And we will take you deeper if there's time enough, and if we have some extended more sessions into those verses as well. So as she is kissing Krishna and she has started to cry, she's no Lala, don't cry. And she wipes his tears and she embraces him and she sits down in one corner of the kitchen. There is some milk already that she has put on slow flame on the stove, but here she is absorbed in feeding Sri Krishna. And there she is, covering the child baby Krishna under a veil, and she is feeding Krishna with her milk in her chest. And Krishna is now quietened, and he's simply sucking Mother Yashoda's breast with full content. Mother Yashoda again is full of ecstasy and Vatsalya rasa. Tears are flowing from her eyes. And Krishna, for a moment, he pulls back and he's yawning. And Mother Yashoda sees in his yawn the entire universe. She sees the creation, the spiritual worlds, the material worlds. She sees even within the spiritual world her own Gokul and her little kitchen and where she is seated. So this is not the first time that she saw this scene. The second time she saw this was at Brahman Ghat when Krishna had eaten dirt, and Mother Yashoda says, "Open your mouth, Krishna." Everybody's saying, including Balram, all your friends are saying that you have eaten dirt. Please show me your mouth. And at that time, she also sees all the different universes and everything in Krishna's mouth. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Namami Ishwaram Satchitananda Rupam. But then immediately she shrugs off. She says, what am I seeing? It is due to Maya. I'm seeing things in my child's mouth. He's just my baby. And immediately he starts crying a little, and again she sticks her breast to her mouth, and again the feeding begins. So here's what Mother Yashoda is thinking, that due to Maya, Vishnu's Maya, I'm seeing all these things. Even while she was singing while the Sankirtan was performed. On the third day when Putna came, and she took you away, and she was such a huge demoness. But you got saved by the mercy of Parmeshwar, Nanda Baba's deities. This is what Mother Yashoda says. And then a few days later, Saktasur came, the cart demon, and he tried to kill you. And by the mercy of Vishnu, you were saved. This is the bhav of the Vrajvasis. And the difference is that in the material world, we are under the influence of Maya. In the spiritual world, every entity is under the influence of Yogamaya, and especially in Golok Vrindavan. Yogamaya is present in Vaikuntha Lokas also, but her work is minimal. But Yogamaya has been given a special permission and a blank check by Sri Krishna himself. For what reason? What does Maya do? Maya makes you forget. And Yogamaya's job in Golok, or in the upper spiritual planets where she's fully dedicated along with Vrinda Devi and Purnamasi, is to make Krishna forget that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Number one. Number two, it is to also make forget all those residents of Vraja that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. That is the difference. In Dwarka, they are cognizant of Krishna's that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Mathura, they know that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Vaikuntha Lokas, like Ayodhya, etc., they know that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he is the Personality of Godhead. But in Golok Vrindavan, Yogamaya has a very special and a very difficult job, but she performs it wonderfully. But occasionally, for a second or for the blink of an eye, she releases her power, and at that time, the Satchitananda Rupa of opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is revealed. And then she gets chastised by Krishna. What are you doing? While I'm yawning, you're showing my mother that I am the Supreme Lord? No. And immediately Yogamaya says, sorry, my dear Lord. I will keep that in mind. But occasionally it happens because she has to enhance Krishna's sweet leelas. There's a reason, under the guidance of Purnamasi and along with Vrinda Devi, she is enhancing Krishna's sweet pastimes. So whatever she does, she is perfect in all respects. So here, she is feeding Krishna amazingly, and she is crying. Krishna is so wonderfully feeding non-stop from the mother's milk. At that time, the milk that is on the stove is slowly rising and boiling over. And it is just about to fall into the fire, into the flames. And Mother Yashoda sees that. When Mother Yashoda sees that, she immediately pulls back Krishna, who has actually knotted her with his two legs around her waist, and he's got the grip of her breast the nipple in his mouth. And she simply puts him like an ordinary baby on the floor. And she says, watch that pot, Krishna, watch that yogurt pot, and I will be right back. I will take care of that milk. Our acharyas explain that Putana, who had the strength of 10,000 elephants, when she breastfeeded Krishna by putting her poison-laden nipples in the mouth of Krishna, she could not free them. Krishna sucked the life air out of Putana and killed Putana. Somebody who had the strength of 10,000 elephants, she could not free herself. That is Namami Ishwaram. I offer my obeisances to that Satchitananda Rupam, who is one of the 6 topmost opulences of Krishna is bal, unlimited strength, unginit bal. Nobody in this entire creation has as much strength as Sri Krishna. Even his incarnations like Lord Ramachandra, how did he win the Swayamvar? Lord Shiva's bow, many Maharathis, many kings came, but they could not even move the bow of Lord Shiva. But when Lord Rama came, he just picked it up like an ordinary child playing with a bow and arrow, and he simply picked it and he strung it. And while he was stringing, that bow snapped. And there was so much lightning and so much sound in the firmament. And even Parshuram was disturbed. He came from the Mandarachal mountain because his tapasya was disturbed. That is the strength. Can you imagine the strength? But Mother Yashoda was able to control Sri Krishna and put him like an ordinary child. So the philosophy of our acharyas explained that because of her love, Damodar Bhakti Baddham, in the first verse, the last 2 words, means he is bound by the love of a devotee. Bound as in bound with the motor indeed, but bound as in bound by the love that although he is the supreme personality of Godhead, Mother Yashoda, Putna could not free herself, but Mother Yashoda was able to just keep him like an ordinary child, although he had even locked himself with his both legs around Mother Yashoda's waist. So our acharyas say, very amazing point. When I first read it several years ago, I just felt so much bliss, which I will repeat here. When our love, or when the devotee's love is more than the love of Krishna, Krishna is bound by the devotees. Everybody has heard the word Bhakta Vatsal. Vatsa means a child or a calf. So everybody, whether one is a follower of any faith, whether Christianity or Judaism or Islam or Hinduism or whatever faith, we always consider with awe and reverence, oh God, give us thy daily bread. Hallowed be thy name. The Christians play like that. Or most of the people, 99% of the people who come to the temples, they have a long Santa Claus list that Krishna, I have an exam today, please pass me. Krishna, my business is not going well. Here is $1.25 and a coconut. Please accept that, and make my business flourish. And all these different material demands we have. And Krishna, just like a kind father, is supplying. Prabhupada uses his word. He's like a good father, or who actually complies with her order supply. So that's Bhakta Vatsal. Just like when we ask our mom or dad, Mom, can I have this please? Dad, can I have it? Okay, beta. Okay, son. Okay, daughter. Go ahead, you can have it. Bhakta Vatsal. But very few know that one of the Krishna's name is Bhakta Vashya. Vashya means control. One who is controlled by the love of the devotee. So I will repeat that sentence one more time, that when our love exceeds the love of Krishna, Krishna can be fully controlled by us. That is the prayojan, or the stage that we need to reach. And not because it is on an egoistic trip, it is because Krishna loves that. In the Narad Bhakti Sutra, the topmost bhakti described by Naradji and then later on incorporated by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he says, Anya Abhilashita Shunya Jnana Karma Navritam Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam Tad Bhakti Ruttam. The last line especially, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. Whatever pleases Krishna, whatever is conducive to Krishna, one must do. And Vaikuntha, nobody can scold Krishna. Krishna lacks that. Krishna wants that. He is dying for that. The harsh words spoken by the gopis, the stick of Mother Yashoda, etc., are most desirable by Sri Krishna than the flowery words and the verses of the Vedas that are spoken by the topmost brahmanas. Krishna is already familiar with those, but here he needs somebody whose love exceeds so much that they are willing to tie him, willing to punish him. That is why he becomes Bhakta Vashya. And those devotees who would like to become a part of that, the goal is because Krishna desires it the most. I don't mind being a part of that pastime or being an assistant in that pastime, where what Krishna desires the most, even though it may be chastising him or binding him. So like this, Mother Yashoda has ran towards the milk, and as soon as she drops Krishna, Krishna starts crying again. So here Krishna has started crying for the third time in this particular Damodar Lila. And then he's very angry. Along with his tears that are flowing, he bites his lip. Can you imagine all these details? And I'm getting old. Perhaps I'm missing a detail or two. So this only those pure devotees who are the most intimate associates of Krishna in Golok, those who have seen it, only they can describe. Krishna bites his lip in anger. Who is more important, me or that milk? And Krishna starts crying. In the meantime, Mother Yashoda runs to the milk. I will take another 5 minutes and then we will continue next time. In the meantime, Mother Yashoda goes to the milk and says, "Oh milk." Remember everything again? We have to remind ourselves. Everything in the spiritual world is chitta, full of consciousness. That milk is also a living entity, a pure living entity who is in Golok Vrindavan, a Vaishnava. So Mother Yashoda is telling the milk, "Milk, what's wrong with you? Maya, let me commit suicide." Mother says, "No way." And she takes some cold water and sprinkles it as the milk is about to overflow and fall into the flames. "Why do you want to commit suicide?" So he says, "I'm going to just cut to the point, straight to the point. With my own eyes, I saw that you are feeding Mother Yashoda, you were feeding Krishna sumptuously. The milk that you have in you is like the Shir Sagar, the ocean of milk. And the appetite that Krishna has is unlimited. And he's fully satisfied. You both are reciprocating. You're supplying the milk. And Krishna is continuously feeding on it. So what is the use of me? Let me die. I have no service for him." So another very important philosophical point, a Vaishnava should feel like that. When we are bereft of service, when we do not do sufficient service, we should feel service to Krishna or service to the associates of Krishna, to the Vaishnavas. Because the real service of Krishna is when we serve the Vaishnavas. When we are bereft of that, our life should be useless. Narottam Das Thakur prays in that famous bhajan on the disappearance of the acharyas. We sing this. Jaya Nila Prema Dhana Karuna Pracho Hena Prabhu Kotha Gela Acharya Thakur Kaha Mora Sarup Rupa Kaha Sanatan Kaha Das Raghu Natha Patita Pavan. Like that he's singing. Where are these? Where is Srinivas Acharya? Where is Rup Goswami? Where is Sanatan Goswami? Where is Sarup Damodar Goswami? Where are they, all these Vaishnavas? Because I miss their association, I cannot serve them. He says in the end, Pashane kutibo matha onole pashibo Gauranga gunera nidhi keva kotha gele pabo. I feel like committing suicide, Narottam Das Thakur says. Just like the milk is saying, Pashane kutibo matha, I would like to break my head on a stone. Or anole pashibo, I would like to enter into a huge fire and finish myself. Sheshangana paya kande Narottam Das, because I cannot find the association of the. This is a Vaishnava's thing. And Mother Yashoda says, assuring the milk, milk, you are so innocent. Let me tell you something. I am going to, certainly you're going to be serving my Lala. How? The milk is asking. Well, I cannot make sandesh, rasgulla, mohandal, the khoya or the mawa, and all the different sweets that are made from my breast milk. Naturally, my Lala loves all that too. I'm going to use you. I'm going to engage you in a seva. Just be a little patient. So Mother Yashoda, the philosophical point is just like a guru, a senior Vaishnavi. The job is to encourage. Job is to engage other Vaishnavas. In the Mangala Aarti, every day we sing. Sometimes we sing all these Aartis, but we do not contemplate. We do not absorb. We do not digest. It is as if it is a ritual. We sing it and we are done. In the Mangala Aarti, what does it say? Shri Vigraha Aradhana Nityanana Sringara Tan Mandir Marjanado. And then the last second last line. Yuktascha bhaktamscha niyunjatopi Vande Guru Sri Charana Ravindam. I offer my obeisances unto all those gurus. That guru is not guru. Many people pronounce it incorrectly. Guru ho, it's plural. Unto all the acharyas, unto all the gurus. Vande Guru ho, unto those pure personalities who are teaching, who are engaging the devotees, how to decorate the deities, how to offer bhoga, how to. Prabhupada taught all that. Yuktascha bhaktas. Yuk means to engage. Bhakta, the devotees. Sometimes we find that a very sad situation. In the temples, we see that if somebody tries to do some seva or somebody does a slightly better seva, envy creeps in. Because it is said in Hindi, Jiski lathi uski bhais. Those who have the stick in their hand, they are in control. So if somebody is giving a good lecture, they will try to restrain that person. Somebody is cooking very nicely, they will try to restrain or find fault in it. That is aparad. Radha. And what is the opposite of Radha? Aparad. Opposite of Radha. Radha ji always engages all the gopis. She pushes them forward for the service of Krishna. She can do a lot of services, but she pushes all the other devotees in the service of Krishna. A lot of wonderful things, along with Tattva and Rasa. This Damodar Ashtakam is just amazing. Last year, I spoke on it for 2 months, every Sunday. So we have to encourage each other. Srila Prabhupada said it takes thousands of gallons of blood to make one devotee. And sometimes we find devotees leave the movement and go away. That is big disservice to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. As much as we need Krishna Prem, every living entity needs that. That's what Prahlad Maharaj says. I would like to assist my Guru Maharaj to give Krishna consciousness to all. Not that we discourage people to take it. Mother Yashoda is the perfect example of a perfect Guru who is passed. So therefore, one who are senior Vaishnavas, it becomes their duty to encourage others. So Mother Yashoda is encouraging the milk, and milk is completely smassified, smiling and nicely situated now. But in the meantime, Krishna upset, but at the same time, hearing the conversation internally, he's very happy. Oh, look at my mother. She's so magnanimous. She's so innocent and she's so large-hearted. No wonder she's my mother. When Krishna gets attracted to us, believe me, we have all those qualities. Shadanga Sharanagata Hoibe Jar Tar Prarthana Shune Brajendra Kumar, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in the book Sharanagati. And the very first anga or the branch of Sharanagati out of the 6 branches is humility. Mother Yashoda displays the utmost humility. Along with the compassion towards another Vaishnava who is desirous of serving. Service is something that the more we desire, the more we feel that whatever, the most advanced devotee is always saying that, oh, not only is feeling fallen, but I've not done anything. I've not done any service for Krishna. So like this, Krishna feels internally pacified, but externally, when Mother Yashoda tells him, watch that pot, Krishna, and then immediately, right next to the pot where he's sitting, he sees a little grinding mortar like the ones that we use for chutney on a stone. Not a mortar, but a little pestle. I'm sorry, I used the wrong word. A little stone pestle. And he quickly lifts that pestle again. Yogamaya, for a blink of an eye, removes that effect, and he becomes the all-powerful Supreme Personality of Godhead. He lifts that stone and strikes that in such an expert way at the bottom of that huge pot that had this half-made yogurt and half milk. And there is a nice hole in the bottom that oozes out like an ocean of milk into the kitchen, on the kitchen floor. And when that happens, he stops crying. He starts giggling, just like a little child when he commits something very naughty. 1 second he's crying, the other second he's smiling. With such expertise. And that pot, it is described as about 2 or 3 times bigger than Krishna, full to the brim. And Krishna is such an expert. He is the mystic. Yatra yatra yogeshwara. He knows exactly what to do. He hits it in a spot in the bottom where the force is maximized, so that the stream of milk and yogurt that is there in that pot would be maximized, and it will sprout and spread the farthest. Because he is upset at Mother Yashoda. I will teach her a lesson. Who is important, me or that milk on the stove? Because he thinks like an ordinary child. Yogma has already covered him. He's not the Supreme Lord, but he's just the darling son of Yashoda. In the meantime, when he realizes that, oh, what a mess I've made on the kitchen floor, he gapes at it with wide open eyes, with mouth agape. What have I done? Mother Yashoda will be turning any second and I'll be in trouble. So he slowly gets up, tells his ankle bells on his legs, shh, do not make any noise. Krishna talking to another Vaishnava servant. Vaishnava complies with Krishna's wish. Because the moment Krishna even takes one little step, the tinkle bells make the jingle jingle sound. But now he's been ordered by Krishna, no sound. I'm going to leave this room quietly. Krishna tiptoes into the next room, which is a storeroom. And there he sees on the top, on the rafters, on the ceiling, a lot of matkis, a lot of pots filled with yogurt and butter. He looks at it, the 2.5-year-old little shorty, how can I get there? And lo and behold, he looks at the ukkal. Namami Ishwaram Satchitananda Rupam. Here again, Yogamaya for a split of an eye second removes that heavy grinding motor who is probably twice the height of 2.5-year-old Krishna. Krishna is able to move it perfectly, place it under that pot, and he climbs on it. Again, Yogamaya covers him. And here he is, enjoying the makhan, enjoying the butter. It's falling all on him. His mouth, he's enjoying. And then at that time, it is early morning already. The sun has come out. When the sun comes out, what happens in Vrindavan or in any other place, as a matter of fact? The birds, the monkeys, they all come out. People, the Vrajvasis. And there is a window in that storeroom, and there is a second door that leads to the front yard. So here, the first monkey and the first crow, they come to the window, and Krishna says, come, come. Take some makhan, take some butter from me. And the monkey comes in, and suddenly we find that there's hundreds of monkeys and hundreds of crows. Just like in our own experience, sometimes you try to throw a piece of chapati or a bread in your backyard and you see one bird or one squirrel. Suddenly from nowhere, you will find there's 50 birds or about 20 squirrels. Is it true or not? Similarly, monkeys and crows, they gather, and Krishna is sumptuously feeding the best of the best. Makhan made by his own mother that has been milked by her own hands. So what Acharyas try to explain, there are so many birds and beasts in Vrindavan. Why just monkeys and crows? So Krishna is very kind. Everything emanates from Krishna, all the qualities, including thankfulness. So Krishna is feeding the monkeys because he remembers that in Treta Yuga, they helped me in the form of Ramachandra when I came. They helped me to build the bridge over Lanka. And they stayed in day and night. They served me. They ate the leaves that fell on the ground and the nuts and fruits, whatever scantily was available, and the roots. But now let me feed. I am the son of the king of Raja, and I have the best food of all the foods, which is makhan. Makhan is very expensive. Butter is very expensive. We know. We go to Walmart or we go to Costco. You compare that, the same size or the weight of some oil, and in the same weight, you take some butter. We see how much more we pay. It is the best of the best foods, and especially one from the best cows. And in Vrindavan, let me feed them the best. These poor souls. Now it's my turn to reciprocate by giving them. That's how it is. Now one may ask, why crows? So again, in Ramayana, we find there is the ancestors of the crows. Kagbhushanji. There was one person who was cursed by Lomas Rishi to become a crow, but he was a devotee by heart. And he always narrated the Ramayana. Even today it is said that in Kailash, he constantly, in Mansarovar, at the base of Kailash, Kagbhushanji is reciting the Ramayana, and Lord Shiva is constantly hearing the Ramayana. And the crows get the filthiest of the filthiest, something that is refuse. The garbage that everybody leaves in dumpsters. That's what they feed on. So Krishna feels thankful. Here is my devotee. He was cursed. So what? Let me feed him with the best of the butter. Suddenly, they all come forward and they're all enjoying from one rafter to another rafter. More pots are being broken and more pots are being fed. Suddenly, nobody's coming forward. The monkeys and the crows, they're going in a backward motion. Krishna says, come, take. Aniyor, take more. Nobody wants to come. There's fear in their eyes. In the meantime, what had happened is Mother Yashoda had turned around, and when she turned around, she saw the mess. And she said, oh, Krishna, what have you done? And she is very upset. Today's Diwali day, I have other things to do. I promised Upananji that I will make some items for Diwali. And look what you have done. Can you imagine? Supposing when we are, let's say we do a home program and the Matajis are very busy in the kitchen and everything is being prepared, and suddenly if the cooker bursts or a huge pot of milk just falls and makes a mess on the entire floor, it takes about 1 hour to clean up. And that person must be so upset. In 2 hours, everybody's going to come and I have nothing ready. She starts crying. The lady, the Mataji at home. Can you imagine? Mother Yashoda was feeling like that. I had heard that you are naughty, you are breaking pots, but now I see it with my own eyes. But in the meantime, in her anger and frustration, she sees, looks around, where is my Krishna? Where is my darling? And then she sees little footprints, white footprints leading to the storeroom. And then suddenly she is amused. He is so innocent. He thinks that I won't be able to catch him. He's like a thief who has left the footprints or the fingerprints everywhere. I'm going to catch him and I'm determined to catch him. And that is what a devotee should be. Utsa, Dhairya, Nischaya. Rup Goswami says that we have to be enthusiastic, we have to be patient, and Nischaya, determined. Mother Yashoda is determined to catch him because now she needs to punish him for the naughtiness, because she loves her child and she doesn't want that a child should be spoiled. The door was closed and she slowly opens the latch and slowly peeps inside. And when she peeps in and she has this little stick in her hand, the monkeys and the crows, with fear, they do not come forward. And when Krishna sees that the fear in their eyes, he simply turns back a little. And there, lo and behold, it's Mother Yashoda with a stick. And immediately he jumps from that motor. Yashoda bhiyullu kalad dhavamanam. He starts running because of fear of Yashoda. And he could have run into the huge Nanda Bhavan or into the palace of Nanda Maharaj. It is said that the palace of Nanda Maharaj has got 84 pillars. We have a house that is maybe 2, 3, 5,000 square feet. In the basement, we sometimes have supporting pillars. 2 pillars, 3 pillars. Can you imagine 84 pillars that support the entire palace? How big it could be? Even today, if you go to Gokul, there is Chorasi Khamba, the remnants of the palace of Nanda Maharaj. 84 pillars. Chorasi means 84. Khamba means the pillars. He could have gone inside, hidden in some place, or chased Mother Yashoda around those pillars. But he decided to go outside, run into the front yard. Why? Because Krishna is very intelligent. Jai bhaje Krishna shai bado chatur. And those who are intelligent, those who worship Krishna are also very intelligent. The monkeys of Vrindavan are very intelligent. I think devotees are listening intently. Maybe I should take another 5 minutes on one wonderful point here. The monkeys of Vrindavan learn a lot of things from Krishna because Krishna is Natkhat. If most of you all have visited Vrindavan, especially those with glasses, you know what happens, right? If you go to Loi Bazaar, you go to Seva Kunj where the Radha Damodar temple is, you go to Cheer Ghat on the Jamuna, then what happens? The monkeys are so mischievous, they come and take your glasses away. Many times it has happened to me. About 25 or 22 years ago, I had gone to the Radha Damodar temple along with a very senior Vaishnava by age also. And we were offering our obeisances to Rupa Goswami's Samadhi. And right next to it is the tree of Jiva Goswami where he used to sit and do Bhagavad Katha. And at that time, I did not have glasses 25 years ago. Perhaps 27, I think. Anyways, so this Prabhuji, he had offered his obeisances. I was right next to him. And by the time he got up, his glasses were gone. It so happened that the Pujari was also, he was circumambulating in the courtyard of Radha Damodar temple, and he saw that, and he said, "Chinta mat karo, abhi dila denge. Don't worry, I will get your glasses now." So he went into perhaps the pujari room or the storeroom, and he brought some fruit. He brought a banana. He threw the banana, and in exchange, the glasses came back. Now, about 7 years ago, I had gone again to the Radha Damodar temple. I usually go every evening whenever I am in Vrindavan Dham, the temples of the Goswamis. Evening time, I try to spend taking darshan there. So when I went there, and then after coming out, I was from Radha Damodar temple, I was on my way to Radha Shyam Sundar temple. And in between, there is a bunch of shops, high up, a few steps. And I went inside and I went into a harmonium shop. I wanted a light harmonium so that I could carry it if I was traveling or something like that. So I went inside the harmonium shop and I was standing there, and the shopkeeper was showing me a few harmoniums, and I was playing them, trying them out. And I said, "No, I'm not happy with this one. Can you show me another one?" And so I was so on and so forth. And suddenly my glasses were gone. So the shopkeeper said, "Prabhuji, aapka chashma gaya." He says, "Your glasses are gone." So I said, "That's okay." I thought it was maybe, devotees that I knew. Sometimes, how when we were kids or when we were mischievous, we try to close somebody's eyes from the back, or we just try to play some pranks. So he said, "Koi Prabhuji nahi le gaya, bandar le gaya." He said, "Not some Prabhuji, one monkey took it." So then I, like an expert, told the shopkeeper, "Prabhuji, you have some fruit?" So he said, "Prabhuji, now these monkeys are so smart, fruit se kaam nahi chalega, fruity chahiye, fruity. Now, fruits are not going to work with them. They need that Tetra Pak mango juice known as fruity." So he gave 15 rupees to his assistant. He went to the grocery store. He picked it up and he threw it up. The monkey had a little baby on her tummy. She had my glasses right there, and she was dangling it. And very expertly, she caught that Tetra Pak juice, the mango juice, and threw the glasses. And very expertly opened it, fed the little baby, and she had the rest. This is the monkeys of Vrindavan. One time, there was a hat seller, and it was the many generations that was their business. So the hat seller came to a particular part of Vrindavan in the afternoon. The sun was high and he wanted to rest. So he just simply took his own hat, put it under his head, and he had the huge bag of hats. He kept it at the side and went to sleep, took a little siesta. When he woke up, all the hats were gone. He looked up, all the monkeys had his hats and they were wearing it. So he remembered, my grandfather told me a story when I was a little child. What was the story? He said that my grandfather, also same thing happened to him one time. So what he did is, monkeys like to imitate. So my grandfather started something so that the monkeys would start imitating. So grandfather did this, the monkeys did that. The grandfather did this, monkeys did that. The grandfather had his hat on and he took his hat and he threw it on the ground. And all the monkeys threw their hats. Grandfather collected all the hats, packed them, and he was a happy camper. So he was thinking, aha, I'm going to trick them. I'll do the same thing. So he did this, the monkeys did this. He did this, the monkeys did that. Then he had his hat and he threw it on the ground. And he looked up. None of the monkeys did that. One monkey came down, pat, 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 and he slapped him hard. What do you think? Only you have a grandfather. My grandfather, our grandfather also told this story that the hat seller tricked them like that. You do everything except don't throw your hat. So these are the monkeys. So the point is, it was of course a humorous point, but the monkeys and anybody in Vrindavan are very special. Do not disturb them. Do not hit them. You can be careful, but do not commit offenses because they are Vaishnavas. Jayati te adhikam janmana avraja. Those who are born in Raj, they are very special. Even a little worm, more special than us. They must have done so much sukriti, some bhakti or some piety, that they have been born in Vrindavan. And some or the other, they are a part of Krishna's Leela to enhance the mood of the forest of Vrindavan. Vrindavan, one, there are 12 forests. One means forest. And forest is always full of flora and fauna. So I think, so one last point for today. So monkeys are very clever like this. And Mother Yashoda sees that his rascal son has run out into the front yard. So the question arises, why there? So he knows, he's very clever. It's morning now. The elders are already there walking on the street. There are vendors walking on the street. There are fruit sellers. And all these are, a lot of them are males. And in Raj, or in the Vedic culture, a woman will not lift her veil when she's in public. So if I run into that yard, front yard, she won't follow me. And if she does, she has to wear the veil. And if she wears the veil, she won't be able to properly see me. Look at the reasoning in a 2.5-year-old Krishna, Jiva Goswami. Mother Yashoda sees that my son has so smart. All these ladies used to come and complain, but I never believed that. Unbelievable. Instead of going in that big palace and, taking me for a chase, he's trying to take me outside. And he thinks that I'm not going to follow, but I am determined to catch him. My love is greater than his love, and I will catch him. She looks around left and right before leaping into the front yard. She doesn't see anybody yet. And as she leaps in, Mother Yashoda is very hefty by nature. Some of the paintings that are depicted that she is shown as very skinny, it's not true. She is very heavy. She's got big hips. All these descriptions are given by the associates in Vraj. She's got huge chest, huge breast, and she's very hefty. And while Krishna ran in the front yard, she is running behind him, and she is already puffing. And while she's puffing, catching her sari and trying to run behind him, the flowers that are in her hair braid, the ketki flowers in particular, they were there. They're very fragrant. They fall down because of her heavy breathing and shaking. And she tries to pick them up. Again, they're Vaishnavas. Everything is full of consciousness. But the ketki flowers, in a conversation, a quick conversation with Mother, Maya, there he goes. Catch that rascal. Don't worry about us. She's a Vaishnavi. She's worried that, they've fallen down. Don't worry about us. Catch that rascal. There he goes. And Mother Yashoda is determined to catch him. She cannot catch him. Krishna is running all over the yard. And as long as Krishna doesn't look back, he cannot be caught. But the moment he turned back, as you can see in the poster, Yashoda biyu look kalat paramastram atyanta tato dhrutya gopya. Gopya, Yashoda Maya, was able to catch him. Paramastram, from behind. But the Yashoda was able to catch Krishna because her determination and her love exceeded the love of Krishna. So I will end here today. Thank you all very much for patiently listening. And we will have perhaps a second, and if the devotees want, we can have a third session. As long as you are ready to meet on Saturday, I am willing to do this katha. Actually, I do this katha every week on Sunday on Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad group. But since I'm doing it here, I am encouraging everybody to join on Saturday. And if Acharya Nidhi Prabhu can give me your feedback and let me know until, if you are interested, I can finish the entire katha nicely with every verse, if you give me some time. Because I like to do justice in a very, very proper way. Because, sometimes it's like when you have something very sweet and nectarian, you want to share it with all. So that is my mood, that I want to share with all the devotees who are sincerely listening. And if you are patient enough and if you want it, let me know through Acharya Nidhi Prabhu and through your local representatives, your president, and give me your feedback. So thank you all very much. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. All glories to Urjeshwari Radharani or Urja month, known as Damodar month or month of Kartik. And all glories to the wonderful Leela, Damodar Lila. One last thing, we are just scratching the surface in terms of the philosophy. Damodar Lila is the childhood pastimes of Krishna, but Satyavrat Muni will further reveal about the Madhurya Rasa as we progress into the Damodar Lila, or which is the Gopi Rasa. So I will take this up, time permitting. Hare Krishna, all glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to His Grace Satchitananda Prabhu Ki Joy. On behalf of Iskcon Calgary, Prabhuji, we really thank you, and let's all the devotee unmute and say Hari Bol for the Prabhu's time and efforts for today. Joy. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Charanidhi Prabhu, for giving me this opportunity to serve the congregation of Iskcon Calgary. And of course, we have some members from the Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavad group. I'm very, very fortunate that I'm able to do some katha, and all glories to His Divine Grace and His sincere followers. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.